I am very excited to have my next guest join us. He's a talented singer and songwriter. It is Levi Evans.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And thank you for keeping it clean in the first 5 seconds.
Oh, dude.
I heard that you have quite the mouth sometimes.
Just things slip out.
Things slip out.
A lot of F words or whatever,
Is this out of frustration? Is this because you work out a lot and as you're pumping out that last rep?
I feel like just my generation or the kids I hung out with, it's just such a, they're just words, especially the Irish. I mean, the Irish, they swear.
I've heard.
And then it's just kind of like, it's so casual. My sister has a funny story of going to, England, and one of the things, she was like, you would say the F word, it's like if you need to throw something away, or just you just replace words. So she was in her new job in London, and someone was just like, hey, you need this piece of paper, and she was like, oh no, just F it in the bin. And they're just like,
just like that.
Yeah, and they're just
so casual.
What? And it's just it's in our vocabulary. I don't know. It's just part of it. You know what I mean?
You need to take after Seth from Severance.
Yeah,
I don't know if you watched that television
I
show
do, dude. That show is good, man.
You have to say things like devour feculence.
Yeah. Seriously, Mr. Milkshake, man.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. I've heard the Irish do have this mouth that just lets it fly. I take it that having spent time there growing up, it's kind of ingrained in you.
Totally. It's funny because there's there's some really good poets out there, from out of there, like Yeats and James Joyce and stuff, but. It's crazy, and then you have the other side of it, and then we're talkers, man. We just banter. That's our whole thing.
So your parents must be like, whatever, F this, go to your effing room, no dinner for you.
They're more civilized. They're definitely more civilized for sure.
Growing up, they kind of held back.
Yeah, they. I don't think it was just maybe it's this generation or whatever. I don't know, but they're pretty. My mom's from here. She's from Tarzana. In Los Angeles, and so she's pretty chill. My dad doesn't swear too much, unless it's kind of like a joke or whatever.
How many years did you spend in Ireland?
Kind of back and forth my whole life. So I was born here, but then went to we call it primary school, and then I came over here for a little bit, and then I was first grade here. Then I went back to Ireland for third class, which it's like grades, but it's third class, fourth class. Moved to New York for a little bit, came back to Dublin for sixth class, went to secondary school, which is basically middle school and high school. I was there for 2 years and then moved to LA when I was 15, and I've been here ever since. Yeah.
Quite the nomad.
Yeah.
When did you start picking up the potty mouth then?
Who knows, man.
Grade 1.
Yeah, who knows, man.
The first year that you were there.
Yeah, exactly.
It must have been a trip experiencing these different cultures, and especially New York, LA is totally different in itself.
No, totally. I mean, it was cool. I got to sort of see the art that all these different sort of subcultures and cultures were ingesting, and I feel like there was a lot of influences there. When I first moved here, it was I had my buddy from kindergarten who I stayed in touch with. It took me a while to acclimate back into Los Angeles. So all I did was just listening to hip hop music, older, 90s, early 2000s sort of stuff like that. And then in Dublin, it was Jake Bugg, and there was some Lord in there, and then also just a bunch of EDM stuff, you know what I mean? And then I was also listening to the Strokes, the Beatles. I kind of grew up on those guys, so it's been good. I mean, it's definitely been a lot of influences from the different places I've lived.
That's so cool. Obviously, Europe has its own music scene. Irish, you have the long lineage of bands and amazing artists, and so going to New York and then LA, you're just immersed in it to the point where this must have been just a natural fit. You knew this was your path.
Kind of, not really. I always wanted to be creative. I used to want to be an animator. So I used to doodle a lot, which is all my tattoos are my drawings and stuff. And I think this hat, I'm wearing my own merch.
I was gonna say, I just realized your name is
I know, some
on the
people
side.
are when I introduce myself and they don't know, they're like, oh, you're Levi? It's why are you, you put your name on your hat? And I'm like, you know what I mean? It's this is merch.
Well, some people have their name on their jerseys.
Yeah.
Some
It's like
have it
writing
on
the
a hat.
name on the back of the thing, man. Come on. I got to know it's mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I wanted to be an animator for a while, but I just didn't have the patience for it when I got older. I think also like when I was an adolescent, I kind of lost passion in a lot of the art stuff, and I was just kind of like messing around, kind of socializing a lot.
And when you say animator in the early days, was it inspired by like manga or comic strips in the newspaper? Like what type of animation?
I don't know. I just wanted to like create stories and bring things to life. So like it started off as like Lego animation and then like claymation, and then like I got like one of those light boxes that I was like drawing stuff, because I've always been a doodler. Like I always in class, I have pretty bad ADHD, so like that's probably also the reason why I couldn't be an animator, because like the focus, dude, I'm like, no way. But yeah, so in class I was just doodling all the time, and I really enjoy doodling. I don't really know where it came from, but I just did it. And then it wasn't until I was 16 when I first moved here, when I was listening to a bunch of hip hop music, and then there was like an after school music production class that I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. It sounds fun to me. And then I just fell in love with that. I just fell in love with I did a lot of beats. Like I was really instrumental stuff. And then, but all I was listening to was rap music. So then, when I moved high school. I went to New Roads for a second, but didn't fit in really there. And then I went to Santa Monica High School. And then, I kind of found my friend group from like this. We were like, I found like these we were like a Beastie Boys, like skater. I don't skate, but like skater surfer, like punk rap thing. It was called Fuzzcut, and like, the little group, the little group of us. So like,
wait, was it an actual performance group?
Yeah, we used to perform a little bit. Like Fuzzcut, and then we had a couple of shows here and there, but it was, we never released any music. It was all just like fun, like high school sort of vibe, like little parties.
And what type of hip hop artists would you be inspired by at that age? Because obviously there was kind of in flux. There was some change in type of rap, right?
Yeah, totally. A lot like the Pharcyde, obviously like Biggie and Tupac. There's a guy Drew Down who's a West Coast rapper. Nas, Cypress Hill was great. I love Cypress Hill. So a lot of the
old school stuff.
Yeah,
not the newer generation.
My friend controlled the aux, and he didn't. That was when I first really started getting into hip hop. He was very much like, no, none of the new stuff, man. We're listening to the OG classics, man. And I was like, okay,
So you would all take turns rapping?
Yeah, it was like a little rap thing, dude. It was fun, and then I kind of found my love for instrumentation again when I was around 20. I kind of, the rap stuff I was doing, it was still real to me, but a lot of it, the topics, were just like party, like talking about, like just party stuff. And I felt like really like, a lot of us use things to sort of, a lot of us are really vulnerable and they have self-esteem things, especially when you're finding yourself at a young age, and definitely getting into sort of the party scene and using certain things to mask those emotions, and that sort of false confidence a little bit. So, when I started getting older and when I hit 20, I sort of had this, realization that and it was really like, I want to face my vulnerability and those things. So, when I started singing, it was very different from sort of the
we out here balling.
Yeah, literally. It was it was definitely like party escapades, like, and silly stuff like that. But it was cool. I mean, I made a whole 10-song mixtape that I like mixed and mastered myself, and like, banged my head off the table to do that, but I did it. And like,
this was the rap album.
This is the rap album. Yeah, I made it.
But you were no longer part of Fuzzcut.
Yeah, at that point, I had I went to college for a semester, but sort of going back to like I've always been good at school, but it wasn't really my type of learning. I'm really like a hands-on thing. So when I was in music school, we were taking these like, I forgot the name of the thing, but it was like, like the science of music and like sound waves, waveforms and like compression and all these things. But we were reading books, and learning about synthesis and stuff like that. And we're doing all this by reading books. And then I was just like, I don't know. And then when I went to like actually produce the stuff, I was like, I can't translate what I learned on a book. I just had to like be there and do it. So I left school. I started interning at a recording studio. I shadowed some mixing engineers, and then started working, finished the Muttley stuff about 18. And then around 20, kind of had a rebrand where I was just like singing, and still had some hip hop influence. And then started releasing under Levi Evans 2021.
What was Muttley inspired by?
Muttley was inspired by, what I was listening to and sort of just having fun, really. It was just it was a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun. And it was the music I was listening to back then. But yeah.
And the name Muttley, what is that a reference to?
So my mom used to call me a mutt just because the nomadic lifestyle and like being from all these different places. And then Lee was just like Levi. There's also a character in a show called Wacky Races who was like the evil villain's dog that I liked that character. Like he was funny. He had this like cool laugh and stuff like that. And I was just like, he's cool. So like it was kind of, but really it was the name. But then also I was like, that's a cool name. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's an awesome name. That's why I ask.
Yeah.
I only associate Muttleys with some type of rebel or somebody that's always getting into trouble.
Yeah, I was.
That's you.
Back then I was, yeah.
So now, what is it, 4 or 5 years as Levi Evans, this project?
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
Okay.
4 years since I've started releasing music, yeah.
And how has it changed up until this point?
Well, I think like if you go back to my old discography, it was kind of all over the place. So we had I was in this transitional period from this more hip hop stuff to this more alternative singer songwriter stuff. So we had like some R&B records like Bugg. We had sort of like that, still like a hip hop pop thing with like Nightlife, and then more of the acoustic like guitar singer songwriter stuff with Back in My Head Again. So it was very much like I was still figuring out the sound that I was really going for. And I think last year when I released Head Chatter, my first EP, that was really when I locked in. It was like I made a full project in this sort of with these sonics, and it felt really good to me. I think also live shows. Also, I was really thinking about what's good live, because it's important. I mean, that's how like longevity in artists is really the live performances. So, so I feel like now I really honed in on this sound, and now we're just refining this sound.
Where do you see this going in 2025?
2025, we have a stacked calendar of releases. We're going to go to the next EP, which is right now called Idling Outside. It is a 6-song EP, maybe 7, but we'll see. And then working on the next project already. I will be touring with I have another project. I'm part of a music collective called No Fun. So we're going to be touring Europe this summer, which it's funny because like I'm kind of doing the rap thing on that song. So it's kind of, and there's a guy from Pharcyde in the group that one of my best friends from high school. So it's kind of like Muttley's kind of there. I still go by Levi Evans, but he's kind of there. You know what I mean?
So do people come up to your shows and want Muttley to show up? And
I don't know about that. Definitely like my fans back then. A lot of they were all high school kids, and they all moved out or whatever, doing their own thing.
Is Pharcyde still making music?
No. That ended in high school. Like that was a high school thing. We all went to college, and it just like we never released anything. You know what I mean? It was very much.
No Fun did.
No Fun does. Yeah, No Fun is. We started that project maybe I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago. We're all our own individual artists. We all release music. Think of it like an Odd Future sort of, kind of community, like a little bit like Rockhampton too, but we do all release our own music. We're all individual artists. And sort of, it was just like a symptom of having all these artists like being in so, close proximity. Everyone's collaborating with each other. We made a song with like all of us on it. There's 10 people there's 9 artists. We have our drummer too, who's, also part of the group and helps out with filming. And he's like a Swiss Army knife. But anyway, so there's 9 artists, and we all just like got on the track one day and we're like, oh, we should like keep doing this. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you draw the line then with making art that's objective, meaning that, okay, we're all here and the objective is to make music, versus making art that is subjective? And you're just in your bedroom fiddling around and coming up with words.
Totally. Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, a lot of the time it's hard to get together with the nine piece. You know, all of us, you know, we all have lives, we all have jobs and schedules. So, you know, a lot of the time it's been, you know, maybe two people get together, they make something, and then we send it to the group, and then everyone just like sends their vocals or stems or whatever. And then if someone wants to add some production, we give them the thing, they add some production. So that's kind of that process. And then for me, I mean, yeah, it's like you just, I don't know, it just sort of flows out. I try not to think that much when it comes to my work and any work really, because I just feel like when your mind starts, you're your biggest critic, you know what I mean? And like, so it's just not judging the piece of work until you're finished it, because, you know, there's been plenty of times where I'm judging it from the get-go, and then like it just never gets done and never sees the light of day, when it's like if you just kind of let the unconscious mind just do its thing, and then all of a sudden 2 hours later you're like, oh, there's a song right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what I hear a lot when talking to various artists. Like, I'm going to a writing camp.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not beneficial to be in a room with so many people, because you lose the ability to create something that is subjective.
Yes.
Right? Because you're kind of forced into the room like, okay, we gotta write a song.
Yeah, totally.
And it really is. Sometimes it's good, but you know, you have to be really tight with those that you're working with.
Yeah, it's yes, that chemistry with people is extremely important. And for me too, it's like it has to feel authentic to me. And sometimes it's hard to do that when you have a bunch of writers in the room.
Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, of course.
And best of luck with everything, I mean, that you got going on, and tour later this year. Great to meet you.
So good to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Levi Evans, right here on B-Sides.